Good evening, and if you're just tuning in, you're listening to UFO Paranormal Radio Network, otherwise known as United Public Radio Network, or just UPRN on 105.3 and 107.7 out of the beautiful city of New Orleans, Louisiana. And this is the Angel Rock. I am your host. I'm Lorilei Potvin. I'm a Canadian clairvoyant medium, crystal Reiki energy healer, Akashic Records practitioner, spiritual teacher and mentor, and registered nurse. Now, my show, the Angel Rock, I usually have guests, but I'm going to say Happy Canada Day to all us fellow Canadians who were celebrating on was it yesterday? No, the day before, actually. Beautiful fireworks. I uploaded. Hi, Sandra. Hi, Erica. Got people here already in the chat, and I want to give a huge shout out to everybody in the US, our brothers and sisters that are out there, because it's July the 4th tomorrow, Independence Day in the United States. We've got Howie Odell here too. We got all kinds of people already. So if you want to join in the chat, you want to be part of the conversation, where you need to head over to is UFO Paranormal Radio, either on Facebook, YouTube, or you can go into my YouTube channel, which is excuse me, which is what is the name of my channel? The Angel Rock with Lorilei Potvin. And I'm also a co-host here with my good friend on Thursday nights at 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time with The Thing at the Foot of the Bed. So I thought, I purposely didn't book a guest tonight. I figured I love when I do shows with just all of you. Hi, Susan Long. Actually, while I'm talking to you all, I'm going to make sure you guys would not believe what I went through on Facebook to try and post this boy there after me. And I haven't posted anything bad. I promise. I've been really well behaved. They even went after David and I's intro on The Thing of the Foot of the Bed, which is non-copyrighted, and my very talented co-host David wrote the intro for, and he also performed it. Sorry, I want to pin this at the top so people can find it. That he also wrote it and he performed it for the intro that we have for our show. So we finally got it streaming everywhere it needs to. I'm actually, just so you guys know a little bit, I'll do a little bit of housekeeping. If you're on Facebook and you've never used StreamYard, you've never been to a live like that, you may show up as Facebook user. That's okay. So there's two things you can do. If you don't want to go to StreamYard.com/Facebook, give them permission to use your name and your photo. You can just let us know who you are. Oh, you love my Grateful Dead bears on my shirt, do you? Well, hey, this is the Angel Rock. I don't know if I've ever told some of you newer people why it's called that. It's called the Angel Rock because I connect with the archangelic realm, higher beings, elementals, things like that. And I love crystals, but I also love rock music. So usually my little theme, thanks, Howie. Howie goes, come to YouTube and tune in. Yeah, I usually say hi from my YouTube channel. So I'm going to do that too as I'm talking. So I usually do wear rock shirts, usually. David and I are colors. We started out with black, and then we kind of turned it into a pajama party when we went one day or 1 hour later, when David was still working, had to be up at 4 a.m. So he'd usually get in his jammies and crawl into bed right after. But now he's got a little bit more freedom and time. So we'll probably go back to our black and white. We kind of made the two shows completely different so we could differentiate. Hang on one sec here. So a few things. I'm on Roku tonight. I don't usually do the Angel Rock on Roku, so we are on TV. We have a United Public Radio Network channel, or UFO Paranormal Radio channel, whatever you want to choose. If you want to find it, you're going to sign into your Roku account. You're going to go to the channel store. You're going to type in UFO space P as in paranormal. You're going to get a list lining up under the search. You're going to look for about the third or fourth one down. You're looking for UFO Space Paranormal and United Public Radio, and that's our channel. So I am streaming there tonight because Facebook did not like me, and we produce our own shows. So They give us 8 spots, so you want to make sure you fill up all 8 spots, right? Why not? So more people can see the show. Also, want to let you know, if you guys like what you see here, please like, share, and subscribe. Tell all your friends and family, because there's something for everybody on this network. We've got all kinds of new hosts from all over the world. We've got all kinds of great shows. I'm actually, I think next week is my 4th year anniversary here on UPRN. So we've got shows that hosts that have been here for a while. Then when we're not streaming, we have the archive server running, and this network has been around for close to 25 years. So there are great shows that'll start streaming. I've heard people say to me, "Oh, I just heard your show," and we're not streaming live because the archive server just goes through all 25 years and just randomly picks shows to play. Also, if you guys ever miss this or you're watching it on the replay, I've had people say, "Oh no, I missed you live." No problem. There's always a copy on YouTube, on the main channel, UFO Paranormal Radio Network, on YouTube. We also have a secondary channel called UFO Gods and Extraterrestrials. I had to think about that. And I use my YouTube channel as a backup for the videos as well. Facebook also has them. And then anywhere where podcasts or talk radio is carried, our shows are there. Like, I think one time I was looking on a really obscure app. I had actually hosted a friend of mine's show over in Scotland for a couple weeks, a couple summers ago, and they're on a really obscure app. I even found our network on there. So you can find our shows anywhere. Thanks, Howie, for doing that. I also want to give Howie a shout out because he promotes our network for us. He owns the Rift Network, and David Hansel, my co-host, and I from Thursdays, are going to be on his show from 7 to 9 p.m. Eastern this coming Sunday, July the 9th. So you guys want to tune in for that. They help promote UPRN. They've been great about that. So I always like to give them a shout out. Yes, happy full moon. Don't forget about that. I even posted something. I remember to post happy full moon. And there's a reason why, because when I was able to work when I didn't hurt my back with it as a nurse, I never kept an eye on the moon phases. I'm going to give you guys a quick hi here. Hang on, so you guys can see where my channel is on here. Here we are. Hang on. I'll say hi, everybody. Anyways, we always knew, because I'll tell you, all heck breaks loose when it's a full moon, when you have people in the hospital, when babies are due, elderly people, especially with dementia or, certain types of disabilities. And we, without fail, we could always tell when it was a full moon. And I never even thought of that. Like, why would it be that way? And then I remember my partner, we call him the Dell, or just Dell. He had said to me one night, we were talking, I think we were out at the lake at his family's camp. And he said, I think I happened to mention, "Oh, geez, it's a full moon. I'm sure all heck's going to break loose." And then he said, "Yeah, but that makes sense." And I said, "Well, what do you mean?" He goes, "Well, we're like 75-80% water. And when you look what the moon does to the tides, any type of water, can you just imagine what it does to human beings with the water in their body?" And it most definitely does. So I always remind people, I actually saw an interesting article. I think it was last night when I was posting it, because we've had some crazy activity around here, end of the month. So it's, how do I want to say this? I'll just say it's welfare payments, disability payments, whatever, at the end of the month. Plus, it was a holiday weekend. So let's say we had some very colorful activity around our neighborhood. Where I live, I'm about 6.5 hours north of Minneapolis, Minnesota. I'm in Canada. It's pretty well smack dab in the middle of Canada. It's called Thunder Bay. It's on the shores of one of the Great Lakes, Lake Superior. And because we are on a lake, or we're a port, if you will, we have an inordinate amount of drug activity, and always have. It doesn't matter if you live in one of the most expensive high-end neighborhoods to the lower ends. Excuse me, a very high amount of crime. I remember I was talking to one friend one time, and he lives in Texas, and we had just sort of gotten to know each other as friends. And he looked where I lived on my profile, and he looked it up, and he goes, "Oh my God, you live in the murder capital of Canada." And I said, "Well, Per capita, yeah, we do. So it was one of those weekends this weekend. That's for sure. That's for sure. Howie, thunder, thunder, thunder. Well, I will tell. I'm going to tell you guys a little story about Thunder Bay. Thunder Bay was not always called Thunder Bay. It used to be two cities. So when you meet people that are older, like my parents are in their mid to late 70s and beyond, I live on the north side, which used to be Port Arthur. My parents live on the south side, which is used to be known as Fort William. And you would literally, my especially my mother, it was like going to a different country to drive 20 minutes across the city, but they were conditioned that way. It was like, no, we don't mix with the people from Port Arthur, and people in Port Arthur would say we don't mix with the people in the south from Fort William. It was crazy. So Thunder Bay got changed to its name, I believe it was around 1972, 1973. You can still find this article. I think I've mentioned on this show before, but we made, excuse me, we had an international incident here. We had a mayor, very aptly named. This was his true name, Walter Asif. Now take note of that name, because Queen Elizabeth and Prince Philip came through here in 1973. I think it was one of her Jubilee anniversaries, but she also was coming to kind of, if you will, put her blessings on the city with the name change, because we have a lot of ties to the Hudson's Bay Company and back in England and things like that. We were a big part of that history with being on a port again. Anyways, as Queen Elizabeth and Prince Philip got off the plane, our illustrious mayor, Walter Asif, little man as short as he was wide, he grabbed Prince Philip's hand and said, "Oh, Your Majesty, it's so nice to meet you." And then he turned and went, "Oh, I see you brought your wife with you." That was Queen Elizabeth. But that's not why we made international news. And I remember I was a very, very little girl. I think the whole city was at our city hall because the Queen was about to make a speech and what have you. It was a really big thing, obviously. And the mayor still, I guess, did not realize that it was Queen Elizabeth, not King Philip. I guess she went to go up to the microphone, but he was introducing her, and then he said something to the effect of, "What do you think of that, girlie?" And he smacked her right across the backside. That was the illustrious international incident that our city became known for, and you can still find it on Google. Hi, Gwen Patterson. I have not seen you in forever. I'm so glad to see you. Oh, I think I said hi to you, Kelly, but if I missed you, I'm sorry. Hi, Kelly Durant. So I figured, so that's where I live. I'm about 35, 40 minutes away from the US border, and we are broadcasting to you guys from, and ladies, from New Orleans, Louisiana. So I want to give a shout out to Joe Montaldo, who owns a network. He runs a network out of his home, has all kinds of servers and what have you. And he provides this great platform for all of us to get together and sit and chit chat. So let me know where you're all from. Let me know if you got any plans, if you're over here in North America with the long weekend that just went by in Canada. There's nothing, stores are open, but government businesses were closed today. But I know you guys have a big holiday coming up in the US tomorrow. And many of us, because we're so close to the border, I won't be one, but there's many people that travel across the border, and a lot of people go to a little town. It's absolutely gorgeous. One of our regular listeners, Shannon, let me know on the weekend that's where she was. It's called Grand Marais. It's absolutely gorgeous. They have a big fireworks display. Or they go to Duluth, Minnesota, or even head out to Minneapolis, Minnesota. So it's not unusual going across the border, running into people you know from Thunder Bay. Believe me, if you're from here. So let me read some of your comments here. I'm going to start up at the top. And I thought, you guys, we can talk about anything you like. There's certain topics we can't talk about, obviously, because they're certain platforms don't like us to talk about them, but we usually don't talk about those kind of things. We talk about the spooky, ooky, strange, unusual, unexplained. We also talk about the spiritual type things, unusual, power of the mind, power of positivity, those kind of things. So Erica says, oh, she told us already where she's from. She said, much gratitude from the Carolinas. Okay, I got to do it, Erica, because I told you I would never forget you again, and I never have. Erica was at one of my lives when a good friend of mine, Leanne, was on. I call her the Crystal Wizardress. And Erica was in here making lots of great comments. And then she popped into the live with David and I a couple days later. And I knew the name looked familiar, but I couldn't quite remember. And she made the best statement ever. She said, I'm the crystal whore from Monday night. So I always refer to her that way. We get a good giggle out of it. So I'm not being disrespectful. We've got Sandra Sharp here. She says, hello, Lorilei. And she's saying hi to Erica. And then we got Howie, like I said, from the Rift Network. And he said RN. I think he was referring to and right now. It could have been RN because I am also a nurse. He said, happy Canada Day once again. Thank you. Susan Long says, hi, Lorilei. And then Erica said she liked my Grateful Dead shirt. Howie he's going back and forth between Facebook. Now he's got two different names if you see the comments, because some horrible person stole his profile on Facebook and he's never been able to get it back. So he is Howie, though. That's how we refer to him. Erica says, I used to collect all the bears. Oh, that's so cute. And thanks, Howie. You shared the link for YouTube. I appreciate that. Erica says, happy full moon. This is my YouTube channel here. Just so you know, I don't usually promote it. I don't have a ton of followers, but I don't really use this platform for much, but except a backup. But I do have some teaching videos. So if you go under the video section, there's two videos I share quite a bit out of my channel. One of them is how to create a love shield. So if you're an empath, and I run into many, I am empathic as well. I think most of us are that are intuitive. I find a lot of people, they have a hard time going into crowds or shopping malls or what may have you, right? And a lot of people look at it. I've heard many people call it a curse. I always look at it the other way. It's a superpower. You always know when people are lying to you. You can pick up so many incredible things with the sensitivity that we have. I just think the only issue is we need to learn how to manage it, if you will. And you'll hear people in the light worker field, which I would be called, and they will be talking about, you've got to shield yourself. You've got to shield yourself from negative energy. And I always like to look at it as there's nothing to be afraid of. You're not coming from a place of fear. This is empowering, right? So I think one of the most powerful emotions we have out there is love. And even if, say, you don't have a partner or anything, all of us have known love in some way, shape, or form. We've known love. So I always tell people that video, both the two I'm going to talk about, they take longer, the videos, to walk you through it than it does to do. And the reason why they're so long, I think it's the grounding and gritting one, which I'm going to mention in a minute. But I also take you through a guided meditation and all kinds of things in these two videos. But I like to walk people through so that you're able to create what I'm talking about as we're going along, versus you watching the video and going, what was step 7 again? What did she say after you did the video? So, and it's a very simple technique to learn. Even my son that has severe autism, he's 25. I've been able to teach him how to use this technique. He calls it the bubble. Now, my eldest son, he never ever told me what he created to create his love shield until he was an adult, and he decided to use angel wings. So check that out. It's very helpful. The other one I have is called, as I mentioned, grounding and gritting. And I think as human beings, we're meant to live in balance, right? I think that we're meant to be connected through source, whatever your belief system is, the universe, the ethers, the air, God, whatever you want to call it, right? And I also feel that we're meant to be connected to where we live, to Earth. Now we have these invisible energy centers running through our body called chakras. You may hear them called chakras, depending what people call them. And I think when things are really going great for people, everything's status quo, but in a positive way, we're in balance. So I think when we get out of balance is when we have issues. When we have problems with paranormal activity, we have, maybe some negative entities around us, negative entities attacking. One of the best defenses against it including you can shield yourself. You can use it on your house. You can use it on anything. You're using love. I think like attracts like energy. So you're using love as a shield. It's going to be very aversive to anything negative. Plus, when you're grounded, right, it just, your energy is much more stable, calmer, and again, creates a positive energy field around you, something very aversive to anything negative. So it's kind of a win-win. I will tell you, there's a couple other teaching videos there. I went through, again, love rock music. One of my favorite bands is Hailstorm, female singer Lizzie Hale, and she has a song called I Am the Fire. And I actually go through the lyrics of that. And I talk to you about those lyrics, but I talk to you about why music is so powerful and healing, and including the power of gratitude. I walk you through in another video how to feel energy, how to create it, what it feels like. And then I walk you through looking at what the energy we create. I teach how to create an energy ball. And then I walk you through various colors. And there is no right or wrong answer, but color is super powerful when we're doing energy healing. It can really create such a powerful energy force than just plain energy. And depending on what color is powerful for you or how you want to use it, you can use it in many different ways. So there's quite a few teaching videos, like I said, at the bottom towards under, not the live section, but the video section on YouTube. I'm going to keep going through your comments. Sorry, I got off track there. I always had moon. Sorry, I'm going to go back. I always had my moon time every full moon. Oh, that's interesting. You really synced up with the moon. The moon must be your buddy there, Erica. You can create moon water with crystals. Not putting the crystals in the water, but look it up. You can do it with sun as well. Howie says, can we talk about y'all's music in perspective of Canada Day? Sure we can. I'm sorry, the only one I can think of right now is Rush. That was on my bucket list. I'll never get to see Rush play live because unfortunately their drummer, who wrote most of their music, Neil Peart, died. Got lots of good, I used to think back in the 70s, and I'm not a lover of old music. I'm sorry, I'm not. I can tolerate it, but it's not my thing. I don't think I'm 20 years old and I got to be so cool either, but I just like current music. But back in the 70s, we had such crappy Canadian music. I'm sorry we did. And if you liked it, I'm sorry if you're listening. But we had Gordon Lightfoot, who just apparently, I believe I saw his obituary this year. He just passed away. We had Anne Murray, which was not my genre. But then we did have some good bands, like the Guess Who are from Canada. Bachman Turner Overdrive. He used to be, Randy Bachman used to be part of the Guess Who. Now he's still touring. He tours with his son, Tal Bachman. I mean, we got Avril Lavigne, even Mr. Bieber came from Canada. I could go on and on. I have lots of favorite bands from Canada. One of them is Simple Plan. They've been amazing to both of my boys. They met my boys. That's quite a story in itself when they were little. Took me about 2 weeks to arrange that. Found out I know the owner. Actually, not owner. I believe he's very high up. He is with Live Nation, and he's from Thunder Bay. Paul Schaefer, who was on David Letterman, is from my city in Thunder Bay. Kevin, I always forget his last name. Big, tall guy. He's been in a lot of movies. Oh God, I wish I could think of the name, with Jason Statham. It had Sylvester Stallone. It had a whole bunch of the guys, and I forget. They were basically mercenaries for hire. There's a whole bunch of the guys. Arnold Schwarzenegger was in it. I believe Kevin was in there. I'll have to look up his name. He's from Thunder Bay. We've actually got quite a few people from my city, actually, that have done some bigger things in Hollywood and music. So Kelly says she's coming from central Minnesota, I believe. Please correct me. That may be mean, but I think it's Minnesota. So welcome. Gwen's in Alberta in Canada. Erica says whoop whoop. Howie says Virginia here. One of my all-time bands last year retired. Sega. I think I know who that is, actually, Howie. We've got Roger Garza here. Hola, kiddo. Hope you're doing well. Roger and Faye are some of our newer hosts. And the good thing about helping produce on the network, I get to meet all the new hosts when I get to help out on their shows. They have two great shows. Roger is bilingual. He speaks Spanish and English. So we have Latino Psychic Visions on Wednesdays. You can feel free to post a time and everything, Roger or Faye. And then it's an hour and a half. And then on Saturdays, they have this Mugs for You. It's kind of like a morning breakfast type of reading chat. It's a lot of fun. They're a great couple, so check them out. Yeah, there we go. How could I forget Sum 41? I wasn't going to say Nickelback because a lot of people don't like Nickelback. I don't know how you can't like Nickelback, but we just have this because Dell, my partner, has very long hair, and people think he's like a headbanger, kind of whatever. He likes music, but he listens to all kinds. Like he shocked the heck out of me when I met him, when I found out that he actually liked Britney Spears and Justin Timberlake, and yet he likes rock music. And we were talking about Nickelback and the brilliance of Chad Kroeger with Nickelback, because before he became famous, supposedly he went online and asked people what they liked to hear in a song, what they found kind of catchy, like people that knew a little bit about music. So most of the songs in Nickelback apparently follow that formula, and they've been pretty popular. April Wine, not one of my favorites, but yes, April Wine is Canadian. BTO, Back in Turner Overdrive. Yeah. Oh, Loverboy. Oh my God. Bryan Adams. I went to a concert here. Was in the front row when I was 16, and Loverboy and Bryan Adams were playing. So there you go. I saw the last Police concert in Toronto when I was turning 16. It was like a 13-hour concert. It was the Police Picnic. That was a great time. I've seen lots and lots of bands and lots of concerts. Love music. We got Lizzie McLeod. Hi, welcome. And then what else is Howie saying? Yeah, Guess Who. Okay, yes, Finger 11. No, what was the name of their name before? I did not know this. Something Butt Surfer. Is it something buttholes or butt surfer hole? I don't know. I'd have to ask Dell. He knows. They had a really kind of aversive name before they turned into Finger 11. But yes, Skinny Puppy, Theory of a Dead Man. Yeah, again, I don't know why I've never really enjoyed Theory of a Dead Man. My partner Dell loves them, but I'm not super crazy. Thank you, Erica. Expendables. That's the movie I was talking about. Amazing music comes out of Canada. Well, thank you, Howie. I think so too. Not like I play for it. Heather Donlatovich says 5440. Yeah, that's an old band. I mean, then you get into like Blue Rodeo. I don't know if you guys ever heard of those guys. They used to be a big thing. And of course, a guy I like that he kind of doesn't do too much kind of podcast now, Kim Mitchell. You guys have probably heard his song, Go for a Soda. There's I Am a Wild Party. I mean, he had so many hits in the 90s. Roger, thank you. Roger posted the names and times for his shows here on the network. And then Howie says, hi, Heather, by the way. I didn't even say hi to you. Hi. Howie says, you know why they don't? Because I'm not quite sure what you're saying. I have to read the whole thing because Hook's comedian said they were lacking of ability, and the comedian is a weak comedian. Okay. I'm not quite sure what you meant. The Police. Oh my God, the Police. Now, the thing is, I never liked Sting once he broke away from the Police. There was a few songs. Get an album out when one of Phil Collins' albums was really good when I was in university, I remember. Butthole Surfers. Yeah, that's right. That's what it was called, Howie. Yeah. Finger 11 were called Butthole Surfers. That's what they were called. I did not know that till I got together with Dell. So there you go. Oh, how could I forget the Tea Party? I have seen them. They are amazing to see live. If you guys haven't listened to the Tea Party, you got to check it out. Now, not all of their songs I love, but they have a couple. They kind of almost seem like they're almost like a little bit of an East Indian influence in some of their songs. A really good Canadian band that I do enjoy and I've seen a few times too is the Trews, Trews. If you haven't seen them, check them out. They're pretty good too. I don't want to put anybody in timeout. Why is that coming up? They were going to put you in timeout, Howie. Why were they going to do that? Oh, Oh, thank you, Gwen Patterson. Yes, Kim Mitchell, Patio Lanterns, and then Howie. Back to Nickelback. Um, so you know why they don't? Oh, that was oh, sorry, because who? I think I think we already read that comment. Sorry, and then you put love the Tea Party, the earlier stuff, lick the doors. I don't know them, and then you put Met CCR. I'm not quite sure what you mean by that, but yeah, there's. But I like lots of bands from all over. Like another one of my favorite bands, Muse. They're actually Australian, I believe, but they may be from the UK, but I'm sure they've got Australian roots, if I'm not mistaken. I'm not mistaken. But they're a really good band, Muse. Then there's like I said, I love Hailstorm. I've seen them quite a bit. Never really got into the grunge movement, but I've seen Pearl Jam a couple times. I have seen Stone Temple Pilots more times before Scott Weiland died, because Dell and I used to go to. We've had a lot of bands that come through here. Again, being in the middle of Canada, you have to come through Thunder Bay if you're going from the west to the east or the east to the west, or you don't want to go, say, down to Toronto and go the US way. You can't go through the Great Lakes, you have to drive around them. So you have to come through Thunder Bay. So we get quite a few bands here that we wouldn't normally get for the size of the city that we are. We're about 100,000, little over 100,000 plus people. So we get quite a few good bands. My first concert I ever saw, I think I was 12, was AC/DC. They actually played here. I could not believe it. That was a great concert. Yeah, Heather's still adding us here. We got Toronto, Sweet Street Heart. Yeah, we got lots of bands, lots of good. It was just the 70s. We had really crappy music. I'm sorry we did, except for maybe the Guess Who, in my opinion. And then Bachman Turner Overdrive they're still good. Taking Care of Business. Like, who doesn't know that song, right? You don't have to, it's not like it's strictly Canadian. Those hits kind of went all over the world. So there you go, right? So here we are off on music. Hang on. You know who I was really shocked that's been from music? Because, like I said, I'll finish this thought first. Is Dell and I used to go to Rockfest in Cadott, Wisconsin, and we had VIP seats. So we would be, I think, about 10, 15 rows back from the stage. And it was nonstop music playing from 11 a.m. till 1 or 2 in the morning. I have seen Kiss. I've seen Motley Crue. I have seen not Guns N' Roses, but Slash and Miles Kennedy. I've seen, you name it, I have probably seen the band. But that's actually how I found Hailstorm years ago. And I've seen them 3 or 4 times. I love Pink. I love I actually like all kinds of music. I don't listen to the Grateful Dead. Oh, so Heather says my favorite underrated band is Tease. Oh, let's talk about that. Yeah, sorry. Heather says, I don't think I've heard of that band. Heather, you have to send me some songs by them. But Howie, yes, because this was kind of a conspiracy theory, wasn't it? People would talk about Jeff Martin, who is the lead singer of the Canadian band that we just talked about, the Tea Party, that he was the reincarnation of Jim Morrison. He looked like Jim Morrison. He kind of sounds like Jim Morrison. And not so much now. I find that he's older, but when they were around the same age. Oh, Heather says you have Sweet Misery. I'm not sure. Oh, Howie knows who Tease is, though. He goes, oh no, Tease, LOL. Like, I don't listen to a lot of older bands. So Sandra says, my boyfriend in Southern California knows the band members of Motley Crue. No way, because that's where I was going with this. I wanted to finish the thought. I don't know if any of you have all seen this or not, but what can I say? Vince Neil just went out of my head very quickly. Vince Neil, the lead singer of Motley Crue, he has been on a lot of paranormal shows. Have you guys seen him on that? And it's so sad. I mean, I think he's had a lot of tragedy in his life. I mean, I know he was on one time. He's been on, I think, with Kim Russo a few times, but he's been on Celebrity Ghost Story. He's been on a lot of things. And Sandra says her boyfriend actually knows a lot of musicians. And Howie says, my sister was engaged to Bill Leverty from Firehouse. I've heard of the band Firehouse. I wouldn't know, I might know to see him, but I don't know his name. But that's interesting. Well, my brother, I always say, I have just one brother, no sisters. We're 15 months apart. I could not sing a note to save my life. Like if I sing, probably the dogs would howl. But I have all the creativity. Like I've drawn this tattoo. There's so much hidden symbolism. Most of my tattoos I've drawn, if it is something creative, I make it. Doesn't matter what it is, I can probably do it. Like you name it. On the other hand, my brother is extremely musically gifted ever since he's been a little boy. And he's never been taught, he's never taken a music lesson. He can play any instrument, and my brother sings and sings beautifully. It's not my favorite genre. He does blues and he does jazz. Now, another Canadian, I forgot about Colin James. He is open for Colin James before if there's blues and jazz festivals, he has opened in many of those and played in them. He has a couple albums. And I do have to say, my brother has a beautiful voice. And him and I don't speak in regular life. You know what family dynamics can be like, but I give credit where credit is due, and he does have an incredible voice, definitely. So there you go. Two siblings, complete opposites in every way, yet he couldn't draw to save his life, and I couldn't sing to save my life, but we both have different gifts and talents. And then you said Nikki kicks butt. Yeah, Nikki Six. Yeah, Motley Crue has an interesting story. Did you guys ever see the movie The Dirt? Yeah, Machine Gun Kelly playing Tommy Lee, and then I'm trying to think what else. I mean, they had the ex-wives of rock. Dell's a real big. Well, it's not. We know that reality TV is not real, but he would watch that. He likes to watch reality TV, and that was quite interesting. And Tommy Lee's sister in there. They had Bobby Brown, who was engaged to Tommy Lee and found out he had broken up with her when he married, oh God, another Canadian, Pamela Anderson. And then there was two of the girls. The other girl's name, I forget what her name was. I think it was Susan. Bobby was married to the lead singer after Tommy Lee of Warrant. And then the other girl that was in there, her ex-husband was Jerry, I think, from Warrant. He was the bass player, I think. I'm trying to think who the fourth one was, but that was an interesting show. Then you put Love of a Lifetime. I'm not quite sure what you meant by that, Howie. So Heather says, yes, Vince and Zach Baggins from Ghost Adventures are buddies. I did not know that. But the reason why I mention it is it was and I'd seen some of these episodes with Vince, but I'd not seen this one with Kim Russo. It came up one night. And she even said, I think you have some abilities. And like, I don't think he was acting because he's not that great of an actor. I've seen him on enough stuff. And he has such a sad story about that's who it was. His ex-wife was on the Wives of Rock. Was it Chenille? It was something like that, his ex-wife. And he had a baby with her, Skylar. And Skylar got cancer and died, I think, as a preschooler. It was really sad. I don't think he's ever gotten over that. Not that most people would. It's pretty difficult. I mean, right? Most of us believe as parents that we outlive, our kids are going to outlive us. So I'd seen him in a couple episodes like that, but it sounds like he's had a lot of paranormal activity around him ever since he was a little boy. Yeah, Heather, yeah. So Bobby Brown was married to Janie Lane, lead singer of Warrant. And then I did see Warrant. Obviously, Janie Lane's no longer alive, and he wasn't when I saw Warrant. They had another lead singer fill in because he had quite a few issues. Poor Howie. Yeah, he's trying to type at work. He says, sorry for the typos. Firehouse, he says, big hit. Oh, got you. Love of a lifetime. I got you now, Howie. I got you now. So, and Howie says, yeah, I agree with the Vince thing. Because, yeah, it was kind of sad because the episode I saw, because I think he had been on a couple times with Kim Russo's story, whatever I forget what the name of her show is, but she actually happened to pick up the gentleman that he got into the car accident with when he was drinking and a lot younger. And again, I don't think he was acting. Like the amount of remorse and sadness, and I mean, this is like 30 something years later. It was like, holy cow, like, and again, we got to remember we don't know these people, right? And we just hear what the news wants us to hear. There's always, well, there's actually almost three sides to a story, right? One person's version, the other person's version, and then somewhere in the middle, usually the truth. So Howie says or sorry, not Howie. Heather says he was a super songwriter. You're talking about Janie Lane, I think, right? I would not doubt that. Well, the other thing I seen, because I do follow Bobby Brown, she has become a born again Christian, like super uber religious. Now, don't get me wrong, I don't go to her profile all the time, but once in a while things show up. But this was a couple months ago, and I actually went to her profile. I'm going like, did I read this right? Not that there's anything wrong with that, but that is like a complete 180 from who she ever was before. But then again, you know what? Maybe it brings her peace and it brings her happiness and it brings her maybe what she feels like she's missing in her life. So, wish her the best of luck, definitely. So I'm going to pull music into this a little bit here, you guys. What do you guys think about some of this music you hear out there? And I'm going to call it Screamo, a lot of that. And I'm not saying Screamo is bad, but it's these guys with this demonic horse yelling. And then when you start looking at some of the lyrics, what do you guys think of that? I'd love to hear your thoughts, because it's not a genre of music I would enjoy myself. I know there's a lot of people that may. I have seen people that have put their children even on American Idol tryouts or the X Factor tryouts. There was the most angelic looking little girl. She had to be about 6 years old, and her brother was probably about 8 or 9. And if I remember correctly, I think he played the drums, and she comes out there and you have no idea what these kids are going to sing. And she starts doing the screamo singing. Like, I don't even know how this child's voice was not ruined with what came out of her. Like, when you think about it, like I mentioned at the beginning of the show, I talk about, how powerful our mind is and our thoughts. Never mind what we say, what we feel, right? And what we think. So I often thought, like, the words that were coming out of this child's mouth with this song, and I'm not judging, it concerns me because, and again, I don't live their life and I don't walk a mile in their parents' shoes, but you got your 6-year-old singing it, like screaming in this demonic voice about demons and hell and all this stuff. I thought, my God, like, I don't know. What do you guys think? Like, I often wonder when you talk about those kind of things, and singing definitely is energy and it amplifies it. Like, what do you? Don't get me wrong. I'm not wishing anything on her like that, but that would certainly concern me as a parent. I don't know if I'd want my little one singing about stuff like that. I don't know. So, I mean, to each their own, but it's definitely not a genre that I listen to. But like I said, I guess there's some people that do. I'm still ruminating over the fact that Heather said that Vince Neil and Mr. Tight T-shirt wearing gentleman, as I call him, Zach Baggins, are friends. I have a friend that knows Zach Baggins in the paranormal world and lives in Las Vegas. There's people that know him. I guess okay, now I'm going to sound like I'm being mean, but I'm going to say it. I seen a picture recently. It was in a video clip, I think, on TikTok. I never knew about this before. That Zach Baggins, before he did Ghost Adventures, like probably about 6 months before, that he was on Wheel of Fortune with his sister. And he looked very Mormon, very religious. He was probably about 80 pounds lighter. And I'm not sure, not that there's anything wrong with this. You got to do what you got to do to feel good about yourself. But he had a much larger nose. It was definitely him and his sister Meredith. And I went, wow, they kept that fact hidden for a long time. Like, don't get me wrong. I know we all look at pictures of ourselves in our youth and go, oh God, what was I thinking? But I'd never heard about that before. You guys heard about that? It's certainly interesting, that's for sure. And then before I came on here, I was listening to a really interesting interview on I as some of you may know, I enjoy following true crime. It always freaks Dell out because over the years he's come home if he's been working. He goes, "How do you think I feel when I come home and I see you watching these kind of murder things?" And blah. It's like I've never hit anybody in my life. I haven't. Not my children, not my pets, like nobody. So what do you think? I'm plotting your demise while you're at work? I'm not. And the reason why I watch it, I think that sometimes it has some, even looking into how they solve a crime or anything like that, right? And sometimes it just puzzles me to why people do the things that they do and getting into the psyche. Sometimes I still haven't figured it out. But it also sometimes those skills and looking into problem solving and critical thinking, it's definitely played a part in different parts of my life looking at things. Let's put it this way. I don't know how to hack somebody. I've taught myself, it's now ancient programming language, but back in the day, I never even turned on a computer till 2002. But I did build my own website with programming language. Now it would be laughable compared to what's out there. But oh, I'm going to read your comment in just a sec, Christopher. But like I said, I don't know. I'm getting off track here as I saw your comment. Sorry. But that's why I said what I did. So I do know quite a bit about tech. I didn't even know it was called a podcast back in the day, but I won an iPhone in Canada here when they came out in the US right away. We didn't get the iPhone for a year later in Canada, and I had no clue what I was doing. And I had to jailbreak my phone at that time. It took me about 10 years. So I really started getting into tech and looking at things. And I found communities to connect with to figure out what the heck I was doing. So I ended up meeting up with 3 other guys, and we used to do a show once a week on Blog Talk Radio about the iPhone before it was even called a podcast. My whole point is I have no idea how to hack someone. Can I reformat a computer and stuff? Yes. So when there's a virus or whatever, yes, I can help people. I'm not an expert. I would never say I'm an expert, but I sign up for a lot of hacking websites. Big, long way to get to this story is, would I ever hack someone? No, I wouldn't have a clue, nor would I want to learn how to do it. But it helps me, again, get into not necessarily a thought process, but what's coming up, what's up and coming, what are these people planning, what are they putting out there, and how to solve it is where I'm going with that. That's why I enjoy true crime. Now, one of the shows I follow, I'm going to give it a shout out because they do have really incredible guests on there and whole different platforms on a lot of different things. It's called Surviving the Survivor. And last night, this gentleman, Joel, who's the host, used to work for Fox News. His mother, I believe, is 84 years old, does not look it. Apparently was alive during the Holocaust. And she used to be a social worker. She is sharp as a tack. And she joins him on Sunday nights on his podcast. And when she's not there, he has a cardboard cutout of her, and his audience adores her. She's amazing. So she started, I guess, asking him some questions about UFOs. So he's been doing Sunday night shows on UFOs. Last night, fascinating show about it. I'm going to get into it because we got a lot of comments here. Hi, Michelle. You think you know my brother, Heather. Well, my brother didn't date many girls. I can tell you that. My brother, as far as I know, dated one girl before the woman he's been married to. And he's still married to her, has 4 kids. I have tons of cousins, though. My dad is one of 17 children. Some of my aunts have like 13, 14 kids of their own. And even some of my uncles. So I have a massive family. I'm going to read Christopher's comment here, then I'm going to get back to the UFO stuff. So Christopher Lee Helton says, the guys in Vince Neil's bands are good friends of yours. Hey, right on. Ask if you want to come on my podcast. I'd love to have them on. And the guys who started the whole death metal music are good friends of yours too. I don't listen to death metal, not my cup of tea. Yes, you're right. There's death metal. What I was talking about though, yes, definitely would be a version of death metal, but it's like screamo. We had a Canadian band. I don't know if you were here when we were talking about Canadian music. It was called Alexis on Fire. They would be kind of a, not hardcore, but kind of, they would have been, they're no longer together, a milder version of screamo, but it's just this like the guy is screaming while he's singing, and it's just like they're talking about some pretty evil kind of things. So yes, he is. Heather, get down, dog. I'm sorry you heard the death metal. My dog's coming to say hello. She thinks she's a lap dog. Oh, you missed it. Yeah, we had a big conversation. If you go back, if you want, Christopher, at the beginning, Howie, he's at work, so you might have ducked out to get back to work. He brought up, because I'm Canadian, even though we're broadcasting out of New Orleans, and brought up about Canadian music, because Canada Day here was July the 1st, and you all have July the 4th tomorrow, Independence Day. Yes, Heather, my brother is definitely married. So then, yep, you might know who you're talking about, definitely. Anyways, back to Surviving the Survivor. They had this Dr. Michael, I'm probably going to screw up his last name, Sheeran, I think. He was the skeptic. And then they had a gentleman by the name of Scott. I forget what Scott, I'd have to look it up. He actually is a ballistics expert with shootings and all kinds of stuff, but he also is heavy duty into ufology. Then they had a director on there. I looked up the name. Let me see if I can find it. He was just getting an award, though, for a film he released April the 8th. It was a UFO type film, so he could only stay for a few minutes. It was too bad he couldn't stay longer. I'm looking for the name here. Let me see if I can find Accidental Truth. So apparently it's doing really well. I'm looking to see if I can find it. You can buy it paid if you want to rent it. But he was getting awards for it last night. And then they had this lawyer on. Her name was Paige J. Fox. And she's actually working with another lawyer, and they're looking for more lawyers to join their team, that they're setting up a case with the U.S. government for disclosure. So it was pretty interesting, fascinating podcast. So if y'all are interested in stuff like that, you may want to check it out. It's on YouTube. But it's interesting to hear somebody from a legal perspective looking into preparing a case to see if they can try and legally force disclosure. I'm going to do a prediction. I never do. And I'm not being negative, but I don't think it's going to happen. But if they don't try, right? You can't just say, well, no, it'll never happen if you don't give it a try. So wasn't super impressed, I got to say, with the skeptic that was on there last night. Now, even though I posted numerous times in this live, I think especially when it comes to the paranormal and the unknown, UFOs, anything like this, we have to have a healthy dose of skepticism. We have to look at it. We have to try and debunk it. Is it something maybe that could also be responsible? What does the evidence show us? Even if it's unknown, still trying to debunk, is there anything else that could have caused it? Where I had the problem with this gentleman who's a skeptic, and I guess he teaches Skepticism 101 at one of the universities in the United States. He runs Skeptic Magazine. Understand, he eats, breathes, and sleeps skepticism. But my problem with a hardcore skeptic is he wasn't very open-minded to even give it just an iota of maybe it could be something besides him. Everything was no. I need hardcore answers. Like he wanted it hardcore, served up on a silver platter, remove the lid, and here you go. This is what it is. And when we're dealing with the type of things that we are in the paranormal and the UFO world, I'm sorry, you're going to get pictures, you're going to get evidence, you're going to get all kinds of stuff, but it doesn't mean you're going to get a hardcore answer about what it is. So, and he got into it with this Scott gentleman. He's got a podcast. I wish I could remember his name. Maybe I'll look him up while I'm talking to you guys. And they got into, because this Scott is a ballistics expert, and they got into him. It got very spicy because they got into it about JFK, who shot JFK and who was involved. So it was quite the podcast last night. Anyways, I guess um, I was kind of in UFO alien mode. Speaking of surviving the survivor, I got a notification on here right now. Let me see if I can find this gentleman's name, Scott, because he does have a podcast. And I thought, good for you. And it kind of made me sad. Willful ignorance and skepticism. Yeah, I agree with that, Sandra. Because, like I said, I think we have to keep an open mind. Heck, if we all remain so steadfast in our beliefs, I can tell you from when I first entered this world, and I never did it willingly, um, I always say the paranormal found us. I wasn't looking for it. I mean, I've changed my mind about a lot of things with the more people I meet and the more things I learn and I discover and with research, right? And even if I don't have the answer, I always say I put it up on the proverbial back shelf that I know I truly believe truth will reveal itself eventually, right? It may take a lot of time, but eventually you're going to get an answer. But to be so steadfast in the fact that it's either this or that and there's no wiggle room, it definitely was an interesting discussion, to say the least. Let me find him on here. There's also a podcast that Dell was watching that I've been trying to watch. I'm going to get back to. He said it was quite fascinating too. Let me see if I can find this. No, we don't. I got to go back further, I think. Here we go. Okay, so this podcast was called from last night. Aliens crashed. He was talking about the Las Vegas crash that recently happened. And it says aliens with those young guys that called 911. So aliens crashed in Las Vegas, according to famous crime scene reconstruction is the name of it. Podcast is called Surviving the Survivor. And they got into a little bit about the discoveries of David Grush with the United States government. My big question with that is, why now? Why now? Even about this crash in Las Vegas, when that went viral, this happened back in April. Why now, all of a sudden? That kind of came up in the discussion last night. So let's see. We'll get the name. Scott Roeder is his name. So he's a founder of the Evidence Room. He's an internationally recognized evidence specialist, consulting in over 1,500 cases since 2001. So the reason why I brought him up, he got into a huge disagreement with this. Sorry, I said his name wrong. Dr. Michael Shermer. So, and it was kind of sad because, I tend to sort of go with this Scott Roeder. I mean, you do this for a living. This guy knows all about ballistics. So I'm going to get to your comments in just a sec here. And then Paige, she's an estate planning and probate attorney working in Chicago. This is what I found so fascinating about her. She works in elder law issues, and she's an attorney at law with her, it sounds like her own law office, but she happens to be a believer in extraterrestrial life and speaks openly about it. Like, it was so wonderful to hear, but it made me really sad because these two guys kept going at it all night long. She didn't get much of an opportunity to speak. So it was kind of sad, but if you check it out, it was a pretty cool podcast. I brought it up. I'm just going to read a couple comments here. Christopher Lee Heffern, is it Heffern? Sorry, Helton. Sorry. I got Robin. Robin must be at his concert, you guys. You all know Heffern Paranormal is usually here. I don't know if any of you are friends with him on Facebook. He's got this massive concert going on in the UK, and he did it last year. His wife passed away just after Christmas. His wife was there last year, so he's on his own this year with his daughter. But he lives close to it, I guess. And so I can't believe they let him do this. It's all fenced off, and he's got this massive ladder, and he climbed up the ladder and he's filming the whole concert and playing it. He loves Def Leppard, so I think he sent it to me on TikTok. I was just watching his post from watching Def Leppard, so he's probably at his concert because he's usually here, so I apologize about that, Christopher. He said LBJ and the CIA. Yeah, I'm going to be careful with what I say here because we're on YouTube, but I agree 100%. 100%. And Michelle says she's way over and down under. So she said, I would love to see, if it'll highlight, a UFO not a light. I agree, because this is what I was getting into. I could try and upload from, I might be able to send these videos here if you want to see them. Unless you guys want to talk about something else. Like I said, tonight's a night where we get to talk about what you guys want to talk about rather than having a guest. But I saved some of these videos because one of the guys last night actually mentioned, Scott Roeder mentioned about Skinny Bob. Now, I had seen this video footage, but I had no idea his name was Skinny Bob. And so I wrote the website down he mentioned. I think it's skinnybob.info. He had said .org and it wasn't, it's .info. There's a whole website about it. And then lo and behold, one of the people I was checking out their stuff that came up in my feed, that I'm going to show you some of the clips, they had something on this guy, Skinny Bob, again. And I'm starting to think, it's the other side start, spirit's trying to tell me something, because usually when something shows up in my field more than once in a very short period of time, that's usually a sign for me to pay attention to it. There's a reason why. Don't know what the reason is, but from not ever hearing that name in eons and not really paying any attention to it, that all of a sudden I've heard it twice now in about 8 hours. So Michelle says, yes, Skinny Bob. So let's see. Okay, this one is interesting because I have seen this video and it kind of went viral about a month and a half ago, but people were saying, oh, it had to be photoshopped and there's no context and what have you. So hopefully nobody gets mad because we play it, but I'm going to play some of it.
Video that emerged on the internet. An alleged encounter between a man and an extraterrestrial being took place at an undisclosed location within a secret base in the United States. The encounter reportedly occurred during the nighttime, and due to the video's quality, the specific surroundings remain unidentified. It is believed that this encounter took place in 2017, although no official confirmation.
I don't want to play the whole thing in case people get annoyed. This is from a TikTok channel called, all one word, at UFO. Let me put my glasses on here, you guys. I'm going to read your comment just a sec, Christopher. Okay, at UFO, V as in Victor, I, D as in dog, EO, S as in Sam, T as in Tom, K as in Kevin Bacon. If you guys remember from a few weeks ago. Christopher, you weren't here. A few of us, the others were here when we showed Kevin Bacon's Speedo he was wearing in the first Friday the 13th movie. Oh, dear God. People are still talking about this. I'm still getting comments. So I think we showed it on the thing at the foot of the bed, though. And it was, it's quite the thing. If you haven't seen it, you got to check it out. Anyways, this video clip went viral. I don't know about y'all, but that looks pretty darn real to me. There you go. Sandra brought it up. I'm going to read these comments now. So Christopher says, too cool. I shot Def Leppard a bunch of times for magazines. Really nice guys. Yeah, I've seen Def Leppard. Really good. Awesome. I made my living as a professional rock photographer. I did most all the major mags in the 80s and 90s, plus shot for major record labels. That is so cool. I cannot believe you were not here at the beginning of the show. We were talking band. I don't normally talk rock on or music on this show, but part of the reason why it's called the Angel Rock, I'm repeating myself, is because I love rock music and crystals. So we were talking about Howie, who's gone back to work, but he was talking about, let's talk about all the great Canadian musicians and music. And that's how we got into this discussion. So that's so cool that you're here tonight. Welcome, Chris. I'm glad you're here. So Michelle says, I want to know if someone who was living, who had been abducted, passes away. Can you connect with them about it? You know what? Did you ask this question when David and I were there? Because I think you did. If not, David got this, because David, my co-host for Thursday night show, the thong at the end of the bed, that's what we nicknamed it, from The Thing with Kevin Bacon's Speedo. He was asked that. Now, I can honestly say to you, I have never tried. But to me, what I feel I'm picking up from Spirit right now is, if they felt that they wanted to disclose it, there's no reason why most people are going to hide it. I would imagine, yeah, they could tell you about it. Why couldn't they? There's no limitations on the other side. there's no repercussions. So I can't see why they couldn't tell you. It's a good question, though, Michelle. It's a really good question. Michelle says, I'm really curious about it. And Sandra said there is no space and time. Yeah, I think they could. Let me know what your thoughts are in the chat, you guys. What do you guys think? I think that once you're over, see, we're not really who we really are, right? This is just kind of like, and I'm not trying to be facetious here, but we're basically here in a leased vehicle, if you will, right? Our body is not who we are. And who we really are is when we go back home, as I call it, or when we pass away, we live forever. We never, and again, there'll be people that don't believe that, and that's okay. I respect that. But I know we never truly die. We just shed the body. We've had thousands of lives. And so I don't think there's any limitation when you're on the other side. So I guess if it served a purpose, or you asked whomever you were connecting with on the other side and they so felt inclined to share it with you or give the answers, I can't see why they wouldn't. But being honest, I've never tried this. And I know Dave and I talked about this off air. So I don't know if you asked that before, Michelle, or if not, somebody else has asked it as well, because I don't think he's ever tried either. So Christopher says, a Canadian rock. I know who Aldo Nova is. Canadian rock star Aldo Nova posted some shots of mine last month. I took of him. Oh, cool. You have to share them, Christopher. I'd love to see them. You should send them to me on Facebook. I know who Aldo Nova is. Way back in the 80s. Way back. When I used to go to bars when I looked like I was 25 and I was 16. Yes, I wasn't a bad kid, but yeah, I looked a lot older than what I was. And I remember he'd play music by Aldo Nova back in the early 80s. And I always loved NXS, the NXS and things like that. Mr. Derek is here, a good friend of mine. He says, it's my body and I'll cry if I want to. What do you think, Derek? Derek says psychic medium, paranormal investigator, fellow Canadian. Happy past Canada Day. Somebody asked, they want to know. I'm going to highlight it again. Then we'll get to the rest of your comments. Michelle's wondering, and I think it's a great question. I want to know someone who is living, because Derek does have experiences with the UAPs, UFOs, and extraterrestrials. I believe it is the Anunnaki he has experience with. Correct me if I'm wrong, Derek, but I've watched that interview with you and Sébastien Martin. I want to know if someone who is living who had been abducted passes away, can you connect with them about it? My thoughts are yes, you can, should you really want to. So let me keep going through the comments here. Michelle said, maybe we did something wrong and got sent to Earth. I don't think we did anything wrong, believe it or not. And again, this is my thoughts and beliefs. You're all entitled to your own beliefs. We chose to come here. And there's a lineup to come here because this is one of the most difficult places to come. But it is also the greatest potential to come and learn and grow and evolve when it comes to our souls, because we come here with spiritual amnesia, most of us. We come in these dense, heavy, fragile bodies. And yeah, and you come here and you know what? I've shared this before. I found this podcast not by looking. It's called the Next Level Soul Podcast. There's quite a few people that do channeling over there. And the reason why I kind of relate to channeling is because, yeah, could some people be faking it? Maybe. I think if you watch it, you'll be surprised, because I think most of them aren't. But the information that they get from the other side, I know some of it I've received myself from spirit, or at fellow friends that do channeling or automatic writing, or have picked up messages in meditation. They've had some of the things that have been shared have been very similar. But there was a really interesting perspective that was shared by a lady that was some kind of scientist. I forget what her name is. I think the podcast says something about the 12 archangels speak or something about it. This guy used to be a Hollywood director, Alex Ferrari. He's had some Hollywood people on his podcast like Billy Crystal, Eva Longoria, and a few others like that. But he features people from all walks of life. whether they channel near-death experiences. I've also studied near-death experiences for over 40 years, professionally and personally. I believe I've had one as a toddler myself. So, and never mind the paranormal, with all this stuff going on, I am convinced beyond a shadow of a doubt that we go on forever. But the way it was explained by this lady, I wish I could find her name. Maybe I will be able to. But she said that one of the reasons why we choose to come here too, and I do believe what she said about this, is on the other side, there is nothing but love. If you ever look at a near-death experience, there are a few people that have some negative experiences, but those are few and far between. But in general, on the whole, people talk about the colors on the other side. There aren't even human words to describe them. The music. They also talk about the feeling of love. Like love just seems like it's just such an inadequate word when trying to explain it. And you really do understand when it's all about being one with one another. The way my friend described it, that I loved how she said it, my friend Heidi, she had said it's almost like, she calls it a love soup. Like, you know, when you start with a bunch of ingredients, right? But when you chop them all up, you mix them together and you make soup and then you puree it, you can't separate the ingredients. It all becomes one dish. So with the amount of love that's on the other side, right? One of the reasons why they said, you know, you understand what it is to be one, but it's very hard to understand what it's like to know what separateness is. Now, again, she was channeling this from the other side, and she does it much better than I do, obviously, because it's coming out of her mouth. But she explained that that is one of the reasons. There's a multitude of reasons why we choose to come here. But we also, never mind wanting to experience the incredible vast array of levels and nuances when it comes to emotion, we also come here to try and understand what separateness is about, right? You think about this, if all you've ever known is hot and somebody tries to explain cold to you, you might be able to have a bit of an idea, but once we experience it, we feel it, we live it, then we do know, and we know the difference, say, between hot and cold. Well, that's the same as understanding the difference between separateness and complete togetherness, complete oneness. So she also was talking about in this channeling session, though, about that humanity is shifting and changing, that we no longer feel that as souls we need to come here to experience separateness, that we're shifting into a different way of being, and the fact that we want to experience unitedness together. So we may see that in the future. And again, I'm not doing this justice. I'm saying this very quickly. But I do believe we choose to come here. And believe me, I have said myself, I sure wish I would have read the damn fine print before I agreed to this one. But we didn't do anything bad. May feel that way sometimes, but we didn't do anything bad. We're not being punished to come here like a prison, Michelle says, and your life is your sentencing. Well, I guess that's a way of thinking of it. But the other way I put it is this, that when we're having everything going absolutely incredible in our lives, right? Maybe it's that new feeling you have when you first fall in love, that honeymoon period where everything is just perfect and wonderful and birds are singing and you feel incredible, right? What do we all say? Oh my God, I wish this could last forever. Okay, so imagine if you had that all the time. There wouldn't be any impetus for you to try anything else. You wouldn't want to rock the boat, right? Let's keep things status quo. I love where I'm being. But you also don't experience and learn anything. And unfortunately, usually when we have the experience to learn and grow is when we experience something painful. It doesn't have to be that way, but it's kind of the way things work on this planet, if you will. But each one of us, I truly believe, is here for a reason. And we have the free will to screw it all up, because I believe we all set goals and I'll say goals that there's things we want to experience and things we want to learn. And we either do it or we don't. Now, again, I don't have all the answers, but connecting with spirit on the other side and looking into this, it almost seems like the further we deviate from what we set out for ourselves to maybe learn and grow, maybe it's more patience. Maybe it's just to learn how to relax and have an easy lifetime and have fun. Maybe it's to experience, it could be a multitude of things. And then you mix karma into that. Like I said, you could do probably 10 shows on this. But the whole thing is, say we decide we want to learn patience, and more than likely we're not going to end up in a Zen Buddhist monk, place with on the top of a mountain away from other people. We're probably going to have a heck of a lot of people around us, surrounded by people who are going to push our buttons, test us, because they're there. They're going to give you that push, right? And we have the choice. Do we, even though we may not be aware of it, we're either going to learn how to have patience with it, tolerate it, manage it, or maybe not. But the further, say, we get away from that design by we've decided we want to learn more patience in this lifetime, it almost seems like life becomes more difficult the further we get away from it. And then it's almost like spirit or our guides or whatever are giving us a shove, like to try and get back to that path that we set out on. And again, I don't have all the answers. You might think this is full of crap, and that's okay too. But to me, it kind of makes some sense, and I hope maybe some of it resonates. If it doesn't, that's okay too. I respect everybody's belief systems here. So I'm going to go through some more comments here. We got Sandra saying, radios have limited range. Psychic abilities are only limited by the individual's imagination. I agree. I was having this conversation with a neighbor and talking about, because nursing does incorporate therapeutic touch, which is a misnomer, because you work with the person's energy field. And one of my neighbors was having some pain yesterday, and I had asked them if they had ever heard of therapeutic touch, and they did. They're in university getting their degree in nursing. So I showed them how to do it. And then we got talking about healing and energy work. And I said, well, I never, ever cram my belief systems down other people's throats. So I said, if it comes up in conversation like it did now, yeah, I'm happy to talk about it. I guess it was the right time to talk about it too, because I had no idea this person was very open to these type of things as well. So that conversation, I think, was meant to happen. That's where I'm going with. I definitely agree 100% with what Sandra just said here. So Christopher said, check my Facebook page, Christopher Lee Helton Photography. There's an album of some music stuff I did. I will try and do that. Thank you, Christopher. And Derek says, yes, you can, with what you asked, Michelle. He said, when you asked about, can you connect on the other side if the person's had an experience and get answers about it? And Derek says, yes, you can. Even the man who passed and worked for MUFON. Not quite. You might have to elaborate a little bit on that, Derek. But I think you're answering Michelle's question. There we go. He already did elaborate. Sorry. He says, we decide to come here to become the cause and effect to people we meet, to help them go through their spiritual growth, just as they do for us too. And he said, no matter good or bad, unconditional love on the other side. Absolutely. I'm not sure what you mean here. Oh, you changed rooms to your ET page. Okay, yeah. So Derek is now in his other Facebook profile. That's what he's talking about. He changed Facebook profiles. So he does have an ET page. So I know Roger, one of our hosts, if you're just joining us, I should remind you too, if you just tuned in, you were listening to the Angel Rock on 105.5 and 107.3. Sorry, 105.3 and 107.7 out of New Orleans, Louisiana on UFO Paranormal Radio Network. Roger is one of our hosts with his beautiful wife, Faye. They are a new show on the network. They've got 2 shows. Wednesdays is Latino Psychic Visions, and Saturday mornings is This Mug's for You. Roger has also had, I think he's had a couple near-death experiences, if I remember, he told me. He said, when I came back from an NDE, I came back very loving. Also, material doesn't matter anymore. Very vivid colors. Yes, and you're right. Materialism, yeah, it's all just stuff. And having worked in palliative care, I did a lot of technical stuff, and I worked in the community as well. I always say I've been so deeply blessed to be there at the beginning of life hundreds of times. Having worked in the NICU, maternal newborn, labor and delivery, and then I worked out in the community when I hurt my back. And like I said, I did a lot of technical stuff like chemotherapy, central lines, you name it. I did all that stuff and I loved it. But where I had a real passion for was palliative care. And when, you'd admit a patient that maybe just got a diagnosis of something terminal, and then because I worked full time, I had an area, I'd usually be with them till the end. And then if they chose to transition back home, if you will, is what I call it, I would go out in the middle of the night and be there with them. And I can tell you, I have looked after very, very poor people. Some of the greatest life lessons I ever learned was working in that area of our city. And I've looked after multimillionaires, and not one person has ever, ever said, geez, I wish I made more money. Geez, I wish I had bought more houses and more cars and more this and more that, because none of it matters. You can't take it with you. But I can tell you, every one of them said, I wish I hadn't, not all the same things, but some of the examples they would say were, I wish I hadn't waited, to take that trip of a lifetime, or, to wait till I lost that 30 pounds to do this, or I wish I had just said yes to many of the things I wanted to do, but maybe I was too afraid to try, or kept thinking I had more time. And the biggest thing I always heard was, I wish I had let the people around me that I love, let them know every time, several times a day, how much I love them. Those were the things I heard. Never, ever, ever about material things. I can honestly say never. So there you go. Derek says, it pains me to see your ex-wives again. Oh, Derek. He says, it pains me to see my ex-wives after I have to rebirth, meaning reincarnate. Derek's a joker. Well, you know what, though? When I was little and just getting in, well, even, quite a few years back, getting into spirituality, one of the things I used to wonder about is, and even before I, got into the work that I'm doing, I used to think, okay, so what happens when you have somebody that maybe was your first wife or husband or the love of your life as whatever you were together, and then maybe they pass away, and then you have another partner and you marry them? Well, what happens when you go to heaven? I used to wonder those things. Now I don't, but I did then, because I used to think, well, who do you go to live with in heaven? Do you go live with your first wife or first husband? Or it's not quite like that, but I used to wonder that myself. And then Michelle says, these wee ideas, not what I believe. And that's okay. You don't have to believe them. It's all about perspective. Sandra says, you took a class on Seva, another therapeutic touch technique. Oh, well, we need to talk, Sandra. We've been trying to connect. I don't know where time is going. I swear it's going by quicker. I don't think I've heard of that one. I might have. It just might have a different name. So Michelle says, thanks, Derek. Chris says, I have to run, cutting down trees in our yard. Stay safe. Great. I'm glad you popped in to say hi. I hope you'll drop in again and share with other people. We love to have, I try to involve the audience when I'm live on Mondays and Thursdays. Whether I have a guest, I only have guests on Monday nights, but whether I have a guest or not, I always try to involve you guys, because you guys help make the show. So Michelle then says, recently, I'm surprised how far my life has happened. Bam, I'm 52. You still feel 25. Yeah, we all do. Oh my goodness. Okay, I guess I can shout him out. He's been on this show before. This is my eldest. This is Logan. He goes, hey, Ma. Hello, Lovey. I'm so glad you're here. My son does not usually pop in my show, so I'm so glad to have you here. So I hope you're not embarrassing me. And I know why. He'll know why I'm saying that, because he has family visiting from his partner's side. So what a way for them to see me. So if you do see me, hello. I'm sure we'll get to meet in person. We haven't met yet. I'm glad you're here. So he has been on the Angel Rock before. So, and Michelle from Australia says, good day, Logan. So I don't have a guest tonight. So we're just chit-chatting about all kinds of crazy stuff. So I had I was talking, see, I get all over the place here with you guys. I was talking about that skinny bob. So we seen, I think I'll play a little bit more of this guy. This was one that went viral.
The video begins with a man standing a short distance away from what appears to be an extraterrestrial being, commonly referred to as a gray. Both individuals face each other.
I'm showing you this because if you guys check this video out, I'll try and post it below here. these, excuse me, these guys actually shake hands. I'll see if I can find it in here. It's a human being, because this went viral, this thing, about a month and a half ago. And all you saw was a short clip of this gray standing there, and you saw the wood behind him, but you didn't see the context. Oh, I'm getting goosebumps. Hang on, you'll see him shake hands.
Jake appears formal, devoid of any overt displays of emotion or excitement. Both individuals maintain a composed demeanor throughout the encounter, further adding to the enigmatic nature of the video. It is important to emphasize that the authenticity and veracity of this video remain unverified, as no official confirmation or statements have been released by the government or reputable sources. Skepticism should be exercised when evaluating the footage. The leaked video serves as a piece of intriguing.
I thought it was going to show them shaking hands. I'll see if I can find it. Oh, here it is. Okay. I want to show them shaking hands. I won't play the audio because there's not much to see. Did it start playing? Yeah, it did. They're shaking hands. Sorry, I'll put it back a little bit. They start shaking hands. There's no, we don't know if this is real or not, or why this showed up. This is on TikTok. Then I mentioned this, apparently this was creepy. I won't play the audio, but this was creepy. Now I'm guessing this is probably a drawing. But remember, guys, I don't know if you've heard about Thin Men. Thin Men came from a creepy pasta. So people drawing and creating things like this. I hope to God I never see something like this in my lifetime, I'll tell you. But Skinny Bob. I had heard of Skinny Bob.
Vast archives of extraterrestrial encounters. One video has captured the imagination of countless enthusiasts. Skinny Bob. This enigmatic footage showcases a mysterious being, commonly referred to as a gray alien, that has ignited a multitude of questions.
Look at that. Well, you can't really see because it's in black and white. This apparently is from the 40s. But when you watch the video, see what you guys think if you check it out. Same channel. The eyes on this individual, very, very, almost very kind, peaceful, and compassionate. Seems to be radiating out of the eyes. And this is from the 40s. So we didn't have Photoshop back then and all the video effects that we do now. But I never, this sounds so ignorant, and I don't mean it that way, but it's not like you run into grays every day. But these 3 video clips, this one in particular, not this one.
Alleged.
This is another one. Look at how different they all look. Now that one looks a little fake to me. I don't know what y'all think about that, but I think it looks a little fake. So Sandra, you said the audio on that clip sounded very robotic. I think it's just the narration voice. Either it's his voice or the narration. So again, the channel is called, let me put my glasses on here. It's called UFO, all one word. So UFO, V as in Victor, I, D as in dog, EO, S as in Sam, T as in Tom, K as in Kevin Bacon. You guys will know what that means. My kid may not know, but you guys will know. So he's got quite a few clips on here. I wasn't looking for this, by the way. It just showed up. Okay, let me see what this is that you sent me, Michelle. Let me read your comment. So sent you a clip from YouTube. Haven't seen that before. And you showed an alien. Well, here, I don't know if we'll be able to pull it up. That's the only problem. Sometimes YouTube doesn't like when we play there. Let me go. I'm still here if I'm disappeared. I don't think I have, but let me see, Michelle, what you sent me. I'll put that there. I'll share it if I can. I'll have to check on this one. I've got 3 devices here. So I'm all prepared. We've had StreamYard kick out before when I've been live, so I can pop back on here if I have to. Let me see what you sent me, Michelle, and I'll see if I can show it. That's why I'm not showing these very long, because, I mean, if they put them out in public, they expect people to see it. Why I have this popping up, God knows. Oh, Skinny Bob, the shocking leaked alien footage. Okay, so how long is this, Michelle, this video? Do you know? I guess I could just check it out. I don't have the audio turned up. So yeah, that's what I'm talking about, is Skinny Bob. And this Scott Roeder from the Surviving the Survivor UFO thing I was talking about last night. He was talking about, it's only 2 minutes long. So we'll have to see what they say. I'm just reading this. I don't know how anybody could verify, though, if this is real or not, because the Skinny Bob supposedly showed up in the 1950s when they got this footage. So it's hard to say whether it's real or it's not, right? Yeah, 1 minute, 57 seconds. Thanks. So I don't know. I've seen quite a few different clips, so of people that have caught them and what have you. Same as How to Hunt on YouTube. He's Canadian and he does Bigfoot out in British Columbia. He gets reports and all kinds of things sent to him about it. I forget what he calls them. Is it the Sena? There's a First Nations word they use for Bigfoot now. I'll have to look it up after. I had it before, but I notice he's not calling them Bigfoot or Sasquatch, and neither the people writing, they use that word. So they're referring to them. So I don't know, even last night people brought up the age-old comment of why is every video it seems that we ever get, if it could possibly be an alien, could possibly be Bigfoot or a cryptid or something like that, it looks like it was basically shot with a potato. The quality is always so crappy. Now, one person put, well, maybe people are so freaked out and scared that their hands are shaking. Could be. I'm wondering too, with the high, especially if they might be interdimensional, right? They probably got a high level of EMF coming off of them as well. Because I don't know about you, but I think that some of these beings, some of these crafts can purposely cause things to go out of focus. And I've heard other people talk about this as well. That Skinny Bob shown was different to the Skinny Bob you saw years ago. I'd seen that clip. I just never heard him referred to as Skinny Bob. So I don't know. I'm not an expert in aliens, though I've told you guys before, I have missing time. Went to the store when we were in our previous home that had all the paranormal activity. And I hadn't slept well in days. I was exhausted. My eldest kid always knows when I haven't slept. He'll even say to me, Mom, when's the last time you slept, when he talks to me after about 10 seconds. And I was going, it should have taken 2 minutes by car to go to the store. And I was at the lights and I blinked and my phone was ringing. And it was like I opened my eyes. I was in front of a building I've never seen before. I was in the opposite direction of where I was going. I was surprised I had cell service. And it was my partner, Dell, calling me going, "Where are you?" And I had to say to him, "I don't know." He's going, "What do you mean you don't know?" Because he had known how tired I was when I was driving. And I said, "I don't know where I am." I said, "I'll call you right back." And I've never seen this building before. It was miles away from where the lights were. I have no idea what happened. I'm not saying I was abducted, but I have no idea how I got there. Like, it was literally like I blinked. So, but then you get into, and we've talked about this because I know, Sandra, you went to the link, but Joe Montaldo, the owner of the network here, has helped put together the website ICAR, International Center for Alien Research. And he's been doing a long-standing, I think it's 20 plus year study of green eyes, red hair, Rh negative blood, because that did not exist in our genome up to before 70,000 years ago. And he actually, I'd never went to the site till I think I sent it to Sandra. And I looked, he's got some, let me see if I can find it on here. He's got some tabulations. Oh, Derek sent me a picture too. Hang on, we'll see what Derek sent me. Okay, hang on, Derek. Okay, yeah, I've seen these pictures. I'm sure everybody's seen them, and I've heard a multitude of different stories. I will get to this. I want to finish the ICAR thing. So ICAR actually had some tabulations there. Sandra, I think it was you, and I don't mean to out you, and you don't have to answer if you don't want to, but did you end up filling out, it's not a very long questionnaire. The website is called ICAR1, so icar1.homestead.com. I'm going to put my glasses on again. I'm blind. I'm not bald. I don't want to be bald. Hang on, I'll find it in here because it's in here. It's quite the study. So contactee blood types, it's under. So yeah, he does have some findings here. So O negative, 32% are contactees. Distribution of blood types, it said worldwide. I'd have to go through this a little bit more deeper, and it's kind of overlapping. One of these days, maybe I'll have Joe on here and he can talk about this. It says eye colors and contactees, green. And somebody else told me this wasn't true. It was somebody in this chat a while ago. I know they did. It says green / hazel eyes make up 39% of the 34,000 contactees that took part in this study and make up 60% of the O negative group. Blue eyes making up 36% of the blood types and 32% of the O negative group. Brown eyes making up, well, this doesn't really add up, does it? No, it doesn't. So I don't know how he came to these percentages. The O negative group, brown eyes, make up 25% of the study group and 8% of the O negative group. So I'd have to look at this a little bit more closely. I think the way he's written this, that they do add up to 100%. So what he basically, from what I can take from this, the majority of contactees have a lot of the genomic DNA that didn't exist before 70,000 years ago that are now, through their own self-reporting, are being contacted or possibly abducted. So it's pretty interesting. You guys decide you want to go to the website. This is what it looks like, and I'll repeat. It's iCar. I could probably type it. I'll go to my YouTube. So you guys wonder why I can't talk here. I'm doing 20 things at once. I'll type the website. I don't want to type it in the chat here. Yeah, you said you did go. Okay, Sandra, because it types on every platform I'm on, and it posts 8 times. So give me a sec. We'll go to YouTube and we'll go to my channel so I can post in the chat. Okay, I'll type the website for you. I believe it's, okay, don't do that. iCar1 dot homestead.com. So if you guys check that out, there's it should come up. There's a menu on the side, and that's where you can see it'll say contactee. It's got our logo for you, UPRN. It'll say contactee blood types. There's all kinds of really good information on this website. Hopefully that works for you guys. Yeah, icar1.homestead.com. So that should work if you click on it or copy it. Now, Derek has sent me these pictures. I won't upload them because they're just stills. I'm sure y'all have seen these. They went kind of viral. Okay, so Derek, what's the story you heard on these pictures? Because I have seen about 3 different stories about these pictures. So where are we going to go? Now this one, okay, so isn't this interesting? This one I have seen, but the people in the background were African American. There was a whole bunch in Africa. Then, okay, what did Derek type? These are real pics, he states. Yes. Now the ones in the back, now I have not seen this one. This is interesting. Can you guys see that? Wow. Do you know where these were taken, Derek? Oh, good point, Sandra. I'll get back to your pictures, Derek. So Sandra says, and it is a good point, I forgot to mention it, filling it out does not include any personal information. Keep in mind that Joe's stats are, well, they're not just his. I guess iCar's stats are strictly reflecting the results of iCar's study, not the broader statistics from other sources. And that was very important to note. Thank you, Sandra, for saying that. You are absolutely right. Well, that is an interesting picture. So, okay, so what would you, he said 1908 from Antarctica. So what would you classify these extraterrestrials at? They don't look like your typical grays. I don't know. What do y'all think looking at this picture? I'm sorry, I'm trying to turn it so you can see it, but everything's backwards as I do it. So Derek sent us those. Let's see what else there is. Well, we've seen that one. Okay, this one, I know you say it's real, but it kind of, and I haven't seen it, but it kind of reminds me of that movie Paul, and I know that supposedly was based on a true encounter with Seth Rogen. So that certainly is interesting. Got some friendly ETs. Like, this is what I would call possibly typical grays, but Derek says he has many of them. And then Michelle says they look like snake-like cobra. Let me go back to that. I should probably, you know what I didn't see. Okay, now I got to end up posting these. Hang on. You guys will share them. I was trying to get away with not doing this, but we're going to do it. Hang on. How much time we got left? We got about 5 minutes. See how much time flies when you're having fun? Goes by way too fast. I love doing shows with just chatting with all of you. We get to talk about what you guys want to talk about. Okay, come on. Messenger, load up. Give me a sec, guys. It's deciding to be a pain in the butt. There we go. No, I don't want Gaia. What the heck is that? Okay, there we go. Hang on. Okay, Derek, hang on. Now it decided to close you. I don't know why it did. My computer likes to act up. Okay, let's do this. I'm going to go up. I should be able to take my glasses off. Okay, I didn't see that first one. Oh, this is a cute picture. I like this one. I didn't show it. So hang on. Okay, then we'll screen share. Let me see if I can make it bigger. Oh, I can. Good. They look like they're looking through a fish lens, and they almost look like they're part turtle. So let's see. Present. And in case I forget to tell you guys, stay tuned because we have Phil and Julia Syracuse coming up next with the Horsefly Chronicles. So Derek messaged me. You keep messaging me. Hang on. We want to share that. And then I got to go over here. Okay, well, add it. I made it as big as I could. Give me 1 sec. Okay, let me take that off of there. Hi, Manuel Lopez. Says love and light. So I don't know if you guys can see it. So that's one of the pictures Derek sent me. What do you think? They look cute. They look like they're part turtle almost, though, don't they? Hang on. Let me see what else you sent me. I only got a few more minutes there, Derek, so hang on. Let me see. What's the next one? Yeah, that's not what we want. So hang on. I got to close this. Come on, close. I'm going to get in trouble on Facebook here. That's all I need. Okay, give me a sec. Derek. This thing's all blown up now, so give me a sec. Okay, good. Let me see. Okay, these are... We showed those pictures. You've got some newer ones. So let's show... Oh, this and this. I think I've seen this one before, Derek. Oh, my gosh. No, I haven't. No, I have not seen this. Have you guys seen this? Holy crap. Wow. Well, isn't that intriguing? Okay, let's see. We'll go back. Let me see. Okay, we got another one. I'm not going to play it because I don't know what's on it, Derek, just in case, because I'm already in trouble with Facebook. They've been coming for me hard. So we're lucky we're playing this where we are tonight. So they all look so different. Holy cow. Okay, we got that one. Usually there's an arrow that I can go forward or backwards, but it won't let me do that. Okay, I'm keeping an eye on the time, y'all. Okay, here's another one. See if we can make that one. That almost looks like, at first I thought it was Bill Murray, and then now he looks like one of the bad guys from Star Wars. Not Counselor Palpatine or whatever, Chancellor Palpatine, but he certainly looks like somebody from there. Oh, I don't... So why does this dude on the left have this hat on? Wow. And is he... I guess he's still alive because he's shaking hands. Oh my. These certainly are interesting photos. Thanks, Derek. Oh, this one's cute. I'm going to share this one. Then feel free, Derek, in the comments He's a little cutie. Feel free to post these in the comments. The show is pinned to the top of my Facebook profile. So feel free to share them because we're running out of time. You guys, that was lots of fun. I want to thank you all for being here tonight and for all your input. We went from rock music to aliens to music photography to all kinds of stuff. We went to the blood study on iCar. Thank you, Sandra, for filling in the gaps that I forgot to mention. The website is in the chat I shared. Also, if you ever want to get a hold of me, you can get a hold of me on facebook.com/The Angel Rock. If you ever have a guest idea, show suggestion, maybe you want to book a reading with myself. I do healing, energy work. I do Akashic Records, Crystal Reiki. I also do mentoring. You can get a hold of me on facebook.com/Angel Rock. Like I said, I have 2 groups on Facebook, Paranormal University for all things paranormal, and then the Angel Rocker Tribe for more things spiritual, power of the mind, power of positivity, and things like that. So I will be back with you on Thursday with David Hansel, my co-host, and we're going to be talking about, I have no idea. It'll be something funny, something crazy, something weird, something strange with the thing at the foot of the bed, or as we affectionately call it here, the thong at the foot of the bed. If you were there, if you know, and you know why. So we'll be doing that, and that'll be 7 to 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So please, like I said, stay tuned for Phil and Julia Syracusa with the Horsefly Chronicles. Love you all so much. I hope you have a great holiday tomorrow if you're celebrating July the 4th, or if you're still celebrating Canada Day, or anywhere else around the world. If you're just celebrating or whatever you're doing this week, please stay safe. And again, like I said, send you all so much love and light as well as gratitude for tuning in. And we'll see you in a couple days. Okay, stay tuned next week because I have Adriana, one of our new hosts from the network, coming on. We're going to be talking about all kinds of things. She's the one with the, I think it's Spiritual Happiness is her show in the middle of the daytime on Mondays. And her show is liquid gold, giving away business tips to work smarter, not harder, not geared to any particular business, but I'm telling you, she's amazing. And she's into the paranormal too. So we're going to have a really good show. Okay, we'll see you on Thursday, guys. Take care. Stay safe.